Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the LineTime Sports UFC show. It is me, as always, your friend LineTime Rick at LineTime Rick on X, joined as always by the Hammer at LineTime Hammer on X. Wherever you're listening, thank you. Just know that we are available on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music. You could watch us on YouTube, all those. Give us a follow, give us a listen. And as always, follow LineTime Sports on X, TikTok, Instagram at LineTime Sports, wherever your desired social media platform is. This week, it's not going to be too big. We're going to recap 297. Before I get on with it, Hammer, how you doing, my friend?
Good. It's pretty good weekend of fights. Excited
Yeah,
for football this weekend.
yeah, it was entertaining fights, entertaining football. Of course, again, this weekend, no more fights, no fights this weekend. A bit of a lackluster start to the year for the UFC. We had what, two cards and now another break. So we'll get
Yeah.
back into it this next week after that. But yeah, we're just going to recap 297 from this past weekend. And I guess we'll get right into it, starting with the main card and the main event. We have a title change at middleweight. We had Dricus Du Plessis. He defeated the champion Sean Strickland via a split decision. There's a lot of drama around this one following that fight. A lot of people on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, I saw are just calling it a robbery. This is nonsense. Even Dana White, who Dana White at the post fight conference did say that he scored it for for Sean Strickland. But I mean, it just goes back to a point that we've been making time and time again throughout this podcast that UFC fans, MMA fans in general, uh, they're getting way too comfy with this robbery. It was by
Yeah.
no means a robbery. It was a very
No.
close fight, sure, but they didn't take the belt off of Strickland and strap it onto Dricus. I mean, I personally, I scored it for Dricus. I had him 3 rounds to two. I had him winning 2, 3, and 4, and I had Sean winning 1 and 5. I mean, Chael Sonnen, which I love Chael Sonnen, but he's wrong. He said he scored every round for Dricus. Demetrius Johnson had it for Dricus. There's a lot of names that had it for him. I mean, two of the judges had it for him, and
Did Sonnen really say that? Because like
yeah,
I saw that headline and I'm just like I don't understand how you could score the first round for Dricus.
yeah.
Because
There's
that
no
was
chance.
like I feel like that was the most definitive round in terms of I obviously thought Sean won that pretty decisively, like that round. Yeah, people are just like getting like people need to understand the difference between you can still score a fight for the other fighter that didn't win without it being a robbery. Like that's like a lot of these fights are close, and just because you score it for one person doesn't mean it's a robbery on the other end. Like it was a really close fight. Personally, watching it live, I thought Strickland won 3-2, but I'd have to go back and rewatch it. I mean, it was so close. Like every round was really close. Other than that first round, I thought that was pretty definitive for Sean. But after that, man, like each round was really close. I thought Sean won the fifth round for sure, 1 and 5, just because on the fifth round they both were landing pretty well, but Sean ended really good. So I probably would give him the edge in that round as well. But yeah, really close fight. Good fight too.
Yeah, and I will say that I agree that the most definitive round was definitely the first round for Strickland. So I'm not sure how you could say that Dricus won all five. But that's a classic Chael Sonnen thing. He's the bad guy, he's the heel. He'll just, he'll make an article, make a headline. But I do think that Sean won round one. I think five was close, but I think Sean got five. Like you said, he ended real well. And one of the things that even Sean Strickland has been reposting on social media is like total strikes. And that
Yeah,
really
I
it
hate
grinds
that.
my
Yeah.
gears because that's not how I mean, he should know. I mean, if you're a somewhat big fan of the sport, you should know that total strikes isn't how you score a fight. It's by round. It's round and
Yeah.
round. And I mean, the middle rounds, it was so close. It was within like 2 or 3 punches in each round, and
Mhm.
Dricus out had 6 takedowns to Strickland zeros. And I will say that Dricus didn't do a ton of these takedowns, but he did get him to the ground and he controlled him
Mhm.
for a little bit. So like they do go a little bit of I think that like a takedown is more valuable than 2 significant strikes in a round, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, a lot. I remember that second Connor fight, with Nate Diaz. How
mhm.
like Nate Diaz struck him in total strikes by like 30 or something. But everyone's like, "This is such a robbery." It's like, do you guys not know like the strikes? Like it. And first of all, just because you have a couple more strikes, total strikes, significant strikes, whatever it is, in a round doesn't mean you win the round. But it's like if you want to go like that route and look at it, like Connor, the rounds he won, he did land more total strikes and significant strikes. It was just Nate Diaz hit him with a bunch of shots, and well, I don't know, it was like the third round and maybe the fifth round, and he got it. But like neither of those warranted 10-8s. But yeah, it's just pretty crazy. Like just even seeing a UFC fighter, um, like not like really recognize that. But I mean, I get it. He's probably pissed he lost. I'd be pissed too. But you got to know when it's that close. Like anything could happen.
Yeah, and I think he handled it really well, right after the fight. In the post-fight interview, he handled it really well. It's just like the following day on social media, he kind of let it out and wasn't too happy with the decision. Which, like you said, I get it. It probably doesn't feel too good to have your title taken away from a guy that insulted you too, nonetheless. But I think that another interesting thing, I was watching and I never really watched it. I was watching the post-fight talk they had after 297. And I think it was Anthony Smith and Alan Joban were talking, and they were saying how Sean Strickland, we even talked about it last week in the podcast. Even into the week of his fights, he'll do hard sparring sessions. Him and teammate Chris Curtis will do hard sparring in training, which is very rare to see. And the fact that he spars so much and so often in training, they both Alan Jaban and Anthony Smith said that maybe it's like that's how Sean Strickland's pace is spar or fight hard the first 2 rounds, and then in that 3rd round and even the 4th, you take it down a notch. You pace yourself because you learn how, from sparring so often in the gym, you learn what your cardio is, what your pace is, how you wanna fight. And they were both insinuating that Strickland may feel comfortable taking an off round in those middle rounds and kind of reestablishing himself, kinda, go into a counter fighting approach in that 3rd and 4th, go into the save my cardio for these and sure, it's really good for when you're training and sparring in the gym. And I mean, I fully agree with that, but like they were saying on this broadcast that that might have translated over to the actual fight between Dricus, and I think that that was evident. I think that, like I said, I had Dricus winning 2, 3, and 4. So I think that maybe Sean got a little comfortable and he was pacing himself, and he kind of just translated the sparring in camp into the real action fight, and I think that that's problematic.
Yeah, I was just gonna say with that, yeah, like that could definitely be a factor. I also like I was a little like confused watching it because like Strickland controlled that first round like so easily, and like he did go pretty hard, but it wasn't like I don't know. I don't really think it was him uh kind of saving his gas tank. I think that cut really did mess with his like distance perception, and it really just helped Dricus. And I saw people saying or Sean, I think Sean said it, but that the cut was from Clash of Heads. I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was from a punch, and then the Clash of Heads probably opened it up more. But yeah, he was just like really kind of lost the distance control when Dricus started throwing more combos. He was starting to catch him on the end. And he said like his eye was like he couldn't see out of that left eye. So I mean, it makes sense if you're fighting one eye. It's gonna be tough for you unless you're Michael Bisping. But it was he said
Yeah.
in that he said he started to adjust to it, and I think that's kind of what you saw in the fifth round. But yeah, I don't know. It can be it probably is a multitude of factors, and I think that's probably one of them. Like you said, kind of pacing himself in the last few rounds could be another factor that played into it. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think he looked bad either. I think Dricus did kind of pull him into his style of brawling. Like that was the most like wild I've seen Sean Strickland. A lot of like looping punches rather than like his straight jabs. You know what I mean? So I mean, it was a good fight. Definitely not Robert.
Yeah, that was a wild stray at Bisping. But, anyways, I
I
I,
mean, it's not even a stray.
no, it's
It's
the
just
truth.
yeah. I mean,
You're
it's like
right.
if anything, it's a compliment. Like,
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, you're right. But, anyways, you're right. You're completely right. We saw it, of course, I mean, we're so used to seeing Sean in that Philly shell. That's such a good defensive, positioning, and he kinda got away from that second, third round. I mean,
hmm
Dricus seemed to be able to crack that code, a lot better than Israel Adesanya was able to, a lot better than a lot of the people we've seen fight Sean were able to, and, you're right, it kinda turned into a, Dricus kinda leading the dance and, determining on how the fight would go, so it was a good performance from both of them, like you said, it's not like Sean fought a bad fight, it could have gone Sean's way very easily. I wouldn't be surprised if it would have gone to Sean, but it went to Dricus. I guess that brings up what happens next in this division. I mean, again, going to social media, I saw a lot of people, "Oh, you need to do the rematch, it was so close. I think Sean should have won. You gotta do the rematch." I disagree. Um, first of all, it was Sean's first title defense. It's not like he was a long reigning champion. It's not like he deserves the immediate title rematch. I dislike when they do title rematches for guys that are on their fourth, fifth defense. I like seeing the division move along with fresh blood. It's just I do. But in a counter to my own point, I think that the fight to make now is Dricus versus Israel Adesanya. I think that Adesanya, I know he's coming off of that loss to Strickland, and I don't necessarily love giving people coming off of a loss a title fight, but Israel was the champion for such a long time. He's one of the best champions at the 185 period of all time. Um, they were setting up Dricus versus Israel after Israel beat Alex Pereira, and then of course Dricus couldn't fight, so they made Strickland. Strickland beat him, but I think that that's the fight to make. I think that there's a lot of marketing that they could do in that fight. I think that that'd be a great fight to headline UFC 300. I think I talked about that last week when we were talking about this fight. I just think that there's a lot of fun fights for Sean to make with Sean at 185, but I think that the next fight for Dricus has to be against Adesanya.
yeah, I'm just for sure. I agree 100%. I'm just gonna pull up the middleweight rankings. I just don't know who else like you would give it to. Is there other than Izzy? I mean, and I get it. Like Izzy hasn't fought in a while and all that. But like you said, man, one of the best middleweight champions of all time, super active. So that's another thing. Like, when
Yeah.
someone's that active, I always like. I think they should get the benefit of doubt in those rematches, and that's the thing. Like, he didn't even. I think that was more on him, like not getting the immediate rematch against Sean. I think he wanted to take a little bit of time off, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I mean, you got Whitaker at 3, Cannonier at 4, Vittori at 5. Like
Yeah, I mean, then you
that's
got Costa and Whitaker fighting, I think, in the next 298. So I don't.
we'll see. I mean,
Yeah, we'll
Costa
see.
went on Arrow Hawani like 2 weeks ago and said he's like, "Well, actually, I haven't signed that contract yet, dude."
Yeah, he just doesn't want to fight.
I mean, he's just the funniest like fighter of all time. Like he really is.
Yeah, he's
The
ridiculous.
shit he says is just so funny, and I get like people that are pissed at him for not fighting, but at the same time, like, he does it in such a funny way, like,
He
the shit he
does.
says,
He's
so,
hilarious.
I'm all for it, and when he does fight, he hasn't ever been in a fight that wasn't exciting. Like,
Exactly.
every single Paulo Costa fight is a banger, so
Yeah.
let's just let the man be when he wants to
Yeah. I
fight.
agree. Let him do what he wants to do. But again, I don't think that that's necessarily a fight for the number one contender. I do think that it has to be Israel. I think that if he's cool with coming back at 300, and one thing I will say is that Dricus probably took a significant amount more damage. At least it looked like in the face than Sean Strickland did.
Mhm.
So we'll
So
see.
yeah, so Strickland won too, right?
Yeah, of
Because
course,
his
because
yeah.
he's more bruised.
I hate that one too. It's
Yeah, like,
like
obviously, this guy looks like he got beat up more, so the other guy won, right? That's
yeah,
not
it's
really
like,
how it works.
well, there's something called scar tissue. Some
Yeah.
people bruise easier, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited for. I mean, the middleweight division. I mean, it's a really good division. It's
There's a lot of changes recently. There's a lot of title
yeah,
changes. I mean,
for
this is
sure.
what, the 4th new champion in the past, 6, 7 title fights.
Yeah,
So it's a fun time for that division. Like I said, I'd like to see more fresh blood, although I do think they need to make Dricus versus, Israel, and I think that Dricus would win that fight, honestly. So keep new blood. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do, and another thing that could be interesting with, Strickland for his next fight, maybe he fights the winner of Costa and Whitaker if that fight happens, but something that's gonna be really interesting to monitor is as Chris Curtis rises, that is a potential matchup to make down the line, and like I said, they're teammates, they spar together. Um, I think Chris Curtis was asked about it, post-fight. We're gonna talk about Chris Curtis a little bit coming up, but I think he was asked about fighting Strickland post-fight, and he was like, "Yeah, man. I mean, we fight each other every day in the gym. Might as well make a lot of money to do it." So I think that's an interesting matchup down the line somewhere if Chris
Yeah,
Curtis keep winning.
yeah, and they're like obviously pretty good friends, but they also like take shots at each other too, which is pretty
Yeah,
funny. I remember Strickland said something. I think it was like this week about Twitter. He's like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm not soft. Like, I'm not gonna delete my Twitter like Chris Curtis," which is just like funny because it's uh. And like another funny thing is like they were going through the fight card together on like their podcast, and Sean was like, "Dude, what the fuck? I'm not gonna make any money on this card. Like this card sucks." Like as he's like, yeah, Chris Curtis is sharing the
yeah.
card
Chris
with
Curtis is
him.
sitting down there 3 fights below. I'm going, man, this is terrible. Look at that main card. Nobody's on it. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see those two fighting. It'd be a fun fight. They're both violent as all hell. It's gonna be fun, and, I guess we'll move on and talk about a fight that wasn't so fun in a division that doesn't look so fun in the near future. We had that women's bantamweight title for the vacant belt that, obviously Amanda Nunes had. She beat Juliana Pena in the rematch, and then she retired. I'm gonna put those air quotes there. We'll talk about that. We had Raquel Pennington. She defeated Myra Buena Silva via unanimous decision. Um, Myra just gassed. She completely gassed. Like when we were talking about it last week, a lot of Buena Silva fights, she gets a finish pretty
Mhm.
early on, first, second round. Obviously, she had never gone 5 rounds, and it was very evident. Raquel Pennington has gone 5 rounds often. She's been there, done that. I would say that she just pretty much out experienced Myra
Yeah.
Buena Silva. Like I said, it wasn't a very exciting fight. It was a fight where Buena Silva looked decent the first 2 rounds. She got very tired in the third, and from there on, it was just Raquel Pennington's fight to lose. It wasn't very exciting. Looking forward, you would think that Juliana Pena probably makes the most sense to fight Pennington next for the belt. But I will say, Amanda Nunes was there in attendance at 297, and she was hinting multiple times that she was maybe thinking about making a comeback. And something we're going to talk about at the end of the podcast, a fight that just got booked for 300. That makes it all the more, makes me think at least that she will be coming back. Um, I would think that they probably book Pena versus Pennington before then. We'll see. I dislike Juliana Pena. I'll be very honest.
Yeah. Well,
That
I
she
was just
annoys me.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I don't like her either. And like, she fought since
No,
getting pulverized by an Nunes the
she just
second
talked
time?
a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, so it's like I don't really like know how you would give her the title shot without coming off a win. Yeah, no, Buena Silva. I mean, the main thing we talked about with her is we haven't seen her go 5 rounds, and I wasn't too sure on her gas tank. She did look very good in the first round. She was landing some really nice short elbows on her, decent clinch work. Yeah, she looked good. I was just really nervous about her ability to fight 5 rounds, and yeah, she gassed super. I didn't think she'd gas that bad, but yeah, after that, Pennington just kind of did whatever she wanted with her. Not the best fight. I mean, like there are exciting women fights. Don't get me wrong, women's fights. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. This one I kind of had a feeling wasn't going to be the best. I mean, I just don't think, and not to take anything away from Pennington, like she's the champion. It just didn't feel like a title fight, to be honest. And I get it's what interim title fight or whatever since Nunes retired, but yeah, that division is kind of hurting without Amanda Nunes. I'll say that. Did you see Ryan Clark said they should abolish that division?
I mean,
He was
here's the
talking to
thing:
DC, and he was just like, "Yeah, man, if that's the title fight you're gonna put on,
get rid of
maybe
it.
maybe we should just get rid of the division." I was like, "Maybe you're taking that a little too
Yeah,
far." Ryan Clark says a lot of stupid shit, but
he does say some outlandish
it
things. He's
it
not
was
he's not the
it was
greatest MMA mind. Let's keep in mind
nah,
he was a safety for the Steelers. He doesn't have much experience in the fight game besides the podcast with
nah.
Daniel Cormier.
It was
But
funny though. Cormier thought it was hilarious. He was
I
laughing
think
the
it's
whole
pretty funny
time.
too. I
It
think that
was
that's
funny.
very funny. And I mean, does he have a point? Maybe. I think that maybe they should think about even moving 35 to 45 and getting some
More,
new
yeah.
blood in there. But I mean, I don't know, man. It
But
was like you said, it was a bad fight, man.
I know we're gonna talk about this more, and I didn't really want to bring it up this early, but I have to. So is Kayla
Yeah,
Harrison? Is that fighting? Is she fighting at 35? Or are they
she's
doing a
fighting at
catch?
35 and she's gonna have to cut
That's
a ton of weight. I know.
that's what
So
like that.
spoiler alert, that was what we were gonna talk about at the end of the episode,
Well,
but we'll bring it up now because it's
we're gonna
relevant.
talk. Well, we can
We
if
can
you
still
want.
talk about it at the end, but we'll
Yeah,
talk about it now. Kayla Harrison, she signed with the UFC. For those of you that didn't see, she's gonna fight Holly Holm at 300.
I don't think she's
That's
gonna make
cool.
weight, dude. I
I
don't know
don't
how.
either.
I don't like, and she's obviously like an Olympic gold medalist in judo, like
2 time.
super competitive athlete. So like, but that cut is insane. I mean, she competed at 170 in
Yeah,
judo.
she's huge. I mean, she's massive.
Like, and like to bring more contact text into that, like Ronda Rousey when she competed in judo, I think the highest she fought at was like 155, something like that. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's a huge cut. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's like, yeah, if you make the division 145, like you can bring in some of these girls. Obviously, Kayla Harrison's going to try to make 135. I just don't know if she
it's gonna be
makes a
tough.
weight. I don't know how she's going to perform there just because that is such an insane cut. So, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to them even making it 140. Like that extra 5 pounds is huge. So I don't know what they can do there, but
Yeah, I mean, for
Yeah.
context, it'd be like Colby Covington trying to fight Sean O'Malley.
yeah, I mean it's a big cut.
That's the kind of cut that Kayla Harrison makes. They're already
Honestly,
going to
just
45.
if you don't, just look her up if you're listening and you have like I just looked her up for the first time. She's massive.
She's
Like
massive. She's a
I don't know
massive
anything
human.
about her. The chances of her making weight are like so. I mean, dude, she's huge. Yeah,
Massive human being.
Yeah,
It's
like
gonna be really hard.
45's not an easy cut for her. So 35, man, that extra 10
huge,
pounds.
huge credit to her if she can do it because that's pretty
Yeah.
insane.
She's gonna be completely drained if she can do it, and but that's why I kind of was saying that I think that Amanda Nunes will come back because that's fresh blood for her to fight. That's a
Yeah.
legacy fight for the both of them. Nunes versus Kayla Harrison. I think that even if Dana's interested, he could get Chris Cyborg back, but Dana hates Chris Cyborg, so I don't see
Yeah,
that
they don't like
happening.
it. They don't like each other. I don't
But
really know
like
what happened there.
I don't know either. I think Dana said she looked like a man in a dress, and I guess I can
Uh,
understand why Chris Cyborg would get a little bit upset about that. But I, I
yeah.
I will say that I agree with your point that the 35 division it's lacking something, maybe more than something, a lot of things. I mean, the top of that division, just looking at it, you got Buena Silva and Pennington, obviously, you got Pena, and then you got people like Petlin Vieira. It's like
Yeah.
when you take away Amanda Nunes, that division goes from meh to like this is pretty bad. So, like I said, maybe they should think about bumping that 35 up to a 45. Maybe that would, but again, they already got Kayla Harrison who agreed to try and make 135. So we'll see. There's a lot of interesting things that could be going on in that division. Obviously, like I said, I think that Pena gets the next title fight against Raquel Pennington. Maybe they make the Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison number one contender, but I doubt it because man, if they give Holly Holm another title fight, I would probably quit watching the sport. Um, yeah, and then I mean that's it for the title fights. We'll go on to this next one, which it was a roller coaster for me. We had Neil Magny versus Mike Malott.
Electric.
Electric, some would say. Others would say terrible from Mike Malott.
Oh
Mike
man.
Malott was beating Neil Magny for 14 minutes straight, and he just completely gassed out. He couldn't do anything. He lost to a round three TKO. Um, it was bad, man. I mean, Mike Malott, like I said, he had control of that entire fight. It was his fight to lose, and he just lost it. I will say that this is the first male Canadian fighter that we're gonna go over. It was the last male Canadian fighter on the card. They went 0 for 7. So, when we were teasing
That's
that, "Hey,
insane.
let's bet against Canada,"
I didn't know that they
well,
actually
the
for
girls
7.
went 2 and 0. The guys went 0 and
Ah,
7.
damn.
That was crazy. They didn't win a fight. So maybe we should have done the all male uh against Canadian parlay. But regardless, for those of you that listened last week or follow us on social media, you will know that my best bet this week was Neil Magny money line at plus 250, and that one feels really good. That was a good win. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Well done, well done.
Thank you. But I mean, what I will say is it was sweat free. I'm just kidding. It was absolutely to the wire. I was freaking out. He won with about 20 seconds left. The ref was doing anything in his power to not call the fight. He was giving Malott every chance possible. And then at some point, one punch snuck through. And like I said, Malott, he was so gassed and his arms went limp, and you had to call the fight there. So thankfully that happened.
This seems like I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject, but this seems like the exact opposite of 1,000 bets that I've been on. Like, I feel like in
I
this situation, I would have been the Mike Malott better in this situation. It feels good to
100%.
see someone be on the other side of that for once.
It
Well,
feels good to be on the other side.
Well, I know a lot of people had Mike Malott in their parlays because that man was getting like death threats on Instagram. Like there was just that's one thing I do like to do when a fighter loses in like fashion like that, where like I know a lot of people are on them. Like I like to, pull up the Instagram real quick and see the comment section, and
Oh,
it's pretty amusing. If
It's
anyone,
vile.
it's yeah. So people,
I thought you meant you were one of the ones that was
no,
sending the
oh, no, definitely not. I mean, I think people that DM athletes or leave comments on their thing because of betting are the biggest losers in the world. I
for
mean,
anything. To be honest, it's super lame all around, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's just, I mean, it's not their fault that you made a shit wager. But and that's the
Bingo.
thing. Like Mike Malott, like he should have won that fight. He looked really solid throughout, but he gassed super hard. That's the thing though, man. Like that's why you have to look for value in these bets. Like even if Neil Magny like wasn't necessarily the right side, like you're getting 3-1 on him against a guy who's not very experienced, hasn't fought anyone as solid as him yet in his career. And yeah, Mike Malott looked good, man. He pretty much controlled the fight everywhere. I thought Magny was gonna try to wrestle earlier, and he didn't. But I remember what I said on the podcast before. I was saying like if he can get his hands locked, like Malone's gonna go for a ride, and he finally was able to do it in the last 45 seconds of the fight, get his hands locked, took him down, and yeah, I mean Malott had to been just so freaking gassed to not be able to defend that ground and pound at all. I mean, I was down there in your basement, Rick, and I was just yelling, keep punching, because like I was like, they're gonna have to stop it, even though the ref didn't want to. But yeah, dude, that was like one of the most electric bet cashes I've ever had. It was so sweet. And
Yeah, because like,
and
I
we
mean, we
didn't
were
think we
watching it
had.
and we were like, "There's no chance."
Well,
I mean,
that's the
we
thing.
see that
It's
he's
like
finishing well, but
we
he
pretty
lost the
much
first 2 rounds.
we pretty much chalked the bet after like honestly, pretty much after the first round because he looked so bad. But like
Yeah,
after the second round, you were like, all right, well, there's no way he wins, and then
yeah,
that happens. But
from the pits of hell. Uh,
it's man.
I will say it was probably one of the most from man Neil Magny might be his career might be over to give this man another gatekeeper test of all time. I mean, like seriously, like the first 2 rounds is like, okay, this guy should probably stop fighting. Like he's pretty terrible. Like I don't think Mike Malott is that great. Just
No, I don't.
flat out. That's why that was a big part of why I picked Neil Magny is like, is he really? But like at this point, I think in the welterweight division, if you want a number next to your name, you got to fight Neil Magny. I think
Yeah,
that's just the rules. I think that if you can't beat Neil Magny, you don't deserve to be in the top 15.
100%. Like we were saying before the fight, it was more the we liked Neil Magny not because of Neil Magny. It was more because of Mike Malott. And yeah, I think it solidified. So, like he didn't look bad. Don't get me wrong. Like he looked good, but if you're gassing that hard and like it wasn't like I mean he was doing a decent amount, but it wasn't like he ever like had Magny um like almost out of there, and it was like he gassed himself that way. I was really shocked the way it finished, but yeah, good fight, electric cash for us. Huge, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, that one felt good. I think we're gonna take a short little intermission here, and then we'll come back. We'll round off the main card, get into the prelims. Yeah, take a short little break. All right, we'll get right back into it. Somebody we talked about a little bit earlier, Chris Curtis. He defeated Marc-Andre Barriault via split decision. I was kind of surprised to hear that they gave it to Chris Curtis when I heard that it was going to be a split decision. Again, home field. You kind of think that the judges sometimes will side towards, like for this case, it was in Canada, so the Canadian fighter. But they didn't. They gave it to Chris Curtis. I thought that Chris Curtis won. It was a fighter's fight. stood and banged. It was a great fight. We kind of knew this was what was going to happen. Like we said, we talked about Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland. They're same gym teammates. They just love to make it a kickboxing. They want to stand up. They want to fight you. It was a good fight. It was a good performance from Chris Curtis. Like I said, if he can string together a couple more wins down the line, I could definitely see him fighting teammate Sean Strickland.
Yeah, I agree. It was a good fight. I think it honestly could have went either way. I think it was a very close fight. Yeah, like you said though, like just with the home advantage, like it's just you usually just think it's gonna go to whoever whatever country it's in or whatever. But yeah, it was a good fight. Don't have much on it. I mean, I did hear like Dominic Cruz or someone during the commentary like was kind of like shitting on him, being like, "This is just like a sparring match." I mean, I thought it was they were both putting it on each other. Like I see what he's saying, where it's kind of seemed like no one was like really, really going for a knockout. But dude, that's because they both hit fucking hard. Like you don't want to get knocked out. So I mean, it was a competitive fight. Curtis talked about it on Hawani. Said Baralt hits really hard, so he was pretty calculated in terms of not getting chin. But yeah, it was a good fight.
Yeah, going into it, I mean, we pretty much knew how that one was going to play out, and it went exactly as expected. Like we said, fighters fight. It was fun. Every time Chris Curtis fights, it's fun. It's close fights, but they do feel a little bit sparry. I get what they're coming from when saying that, but they're entertaining. Like you said, they both respected each other's power, so I think that's more it than going at a sparring pace. I think that neither of them wanted to get knocked out, like you said. But anyways, we'll go into this last fight of the main card here. Another one that had a little bit of drama surrounding it. We got Mosar Evliov. He moves to 18-0. He beat Arnold Allen in a unanimous decision. Um, like I said, there was a little bit of controversy around this one too. There were some illegal knees. I don't know. I don't know if I want to air quote that one. Illegal. They looked illegal. They looked clean. It depends what angle they were showing. It was one of those cases where, um, uh, uh, you know, Arnold Allen kind of had him clinched up. He had him kind of bending over, and Evliev was reaching for the ground so that he could have a hand down opponent, illegal knees to the head. He hit him with about four of them. They diced up the side of his head pretty good. He started bleeding. A lesser man would probably have said, I can't continue to go. Got the win that way. But Evloev, he said he was fine. Took about a minute and a half off, and said, he was ready to fight again. There was no points taken.
I don't even know though, like if you couldn't have continued, like would that have been a DQ or would that have been a no contest because he didn't get a point taken? Like
Yeah, it was
did
it was
the
weird. It was a
did the
weird situation all
did
around.
the ref watch the replay and be like he might have been like I don't know, like it was so close, like I'm not taking a point, and it really was like I remember watching it live. Like I did think his hand was still down, but like that's such a gray area, and fighters use that to their advantage so much. Like there's got to be a something they can do with that, where it's like when you're obviously baiting, the fighter to throw a knee when you're, doing that ticky tacky, put your hand down, bring it back up. Like it's so hard for the fighter that's controlling the position to like know he's putting his hand down in this instant, in that situation. But yeah, it was a good fight, dude. Evilov really impressed me on the feet. Not gonna lie, he looked really, really solid on the feet.
Yeah, because Arnold Allen, we knew he was really good on the feet, but Evliov, I mean, he stood there and he went to war with him. I'm a bit surprised it wasn't a split because I could have seen Arnold Allen getting that fight probably. I'm not surprised that
It
Mosar
was
lost.
29-28,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
unanimous, and I probably could have seen it for Allen. I had it for Evliov. I don't it was a good fight. Like you said, it was pretty impressive to see Malzar stand there and fight with. But I will say the thing with the illegal again. I don't know if I want to air quote or not, but with those knees, it kind of took away from the momentum of Arnold Allen. If anything else, he was really kind of coming alive in the
Yeah.
end. What was that? That was in round three, so he's really coming alive at the end of round two and the beginning of round three, and then those knees happened, and it just kind of took all the momentum away from him in that situation. But regardless, it was a good fight. It was a good fight for both of those guys. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a big, oh well, Arnold Allen, he can't match up with the likes of Evliya. That's not the case. But I'm sure that the rankings have adjusted. But I mean, like we were saying the week prior, Evliya was the 9 ranked, Arnold Allen was the 4 ranked. So I'm sure that those have not necessarily swapped per se, but I'm sure that Evliya is now higher up in those rankings, whereas Allen's probably closer to the 10. Uh, so there will be some interesting matchups in that weight class going forward. I guess we'll
Actually,
just
Arnold Allen is I can give it to you, I have it up. Evil is 5, and Arnold Allen's actually 6th.
okay.
Yeah,
So
I was thinking they'd bump Allen down like 2 or 3 just because, like, yeah, Evil Love was 9, but he was undefeated. A lot of guys don't want to take that fight. I'm sure he's been turned down multiple times by higher ranked opponents because they
Yeah.
don't want to fight back in the rankings. They don't want to take that risk. So credit to Allen. Like, I don't think he should drop that much with a performance like that against a guy that probably a lot of people in that division don't want to fight.
Yeah, I completely agree. That it is tough because, like you said, a lot of guys are probably ducking Evliya. Nobody wants to fight a guy at 17, 18 and 0, and they know that like his fight style is just domination, get
Yeah.
you, control you. But again, we didn't really see that in this fight. We saw him kind of, I don't
It-
know, outstrike Arnold Allen, but I mean, right there with him. I mean,
yeah, I
he was
mean,
really good on the feet.
it was really close. I mean, dude, I think Evil Love's speed impressed me the most, man. I didn't know he was that fast on the feet. I mean, usually you see him shooting for takedowns pretty early, and yeah, man, his speed really impressed me. He put together some really nice combos, evaded well. Great fight.
Yeah, I was not familiar with your game, but
I was
anyway.
not.
Anyways, we'll move on to these prelims. We were talking about this fight before we got in here. It was Garrett Armfield. He beat Brad Katona via unanimous decision. It was kind of it was a Brad Katona fight.
Dude,
That's how I'll
I don't
explain
know
it.
if I can
It was just
watch any more Brad Katona fights,
I
bro.
know, dude.
They kill me.
They don't entertain me. They whatever. Like, like I will
I
say,
I
from
zone
watching
out in
that
them.
fight, I zone out too, and I was like, okay, Brad Katona, he got another unanimous decision, and then he didn't. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, whatever. I mean, I guess I was wrong. That was my read on that fight. That's why when we were giving out advice for betting too, it was like, I really wouldn't touch it because it's just those are Brad Katona fights to a T. They're whatever, you know.
Yeah, let me look real quick. Okay, so Katona did get, yeah, I was gonna say I thought he would. I mean, he was 4 for 9 on the takedowns. He was striking a little bit more than I thought. I guess 9 takedown attempts is a decent bit, but yeah, I guess he just really couldn't control Armfield as much as I thought he would be able to. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really like watching him, to be honest, and not to take like anything away from him because like he's a solid fighter, but I don't know.
He's not entertaining.
I thought he would get this. Like I thought he would get this one. Coming this being his first fight. Back in the UFC, I expected him to win this fight. Definitely didn't want to bet him, but yeah, I was a little shocked to see Armfield win, but solid win for him, being a 2-time top champion.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they wanted to set it up for a Katona win, but regardless, he didn't win. Armfield did. Good win for him. It's about it for that fight. This one though, this next one, this is again, we got Sean Woodson. He beat Charles
Huge.
Jourdain. And I will say that this is another one. This one cashed plus 170 for the Hammer. That was his best bet. And it was via this split decision. And I will say that we did not have an easy route to cashing our bets. Like I said, we had about a 20-second Hail Mary from Neil Magny. And then with this fight, I've never seen anything like it. We had Bruce Buffer say Sean Woodson's name, Charles Jourdain. Yes, I won, reacting as if his name had been announced that he won. He didn't. It was the most. And then you see Sean Woodson walking away, like talking to his teammates, going up to DC, like, thanks, man. It's a pleasure. DC telling him, like, hey, man, he said your name. You won the fight. No way.
Did you see? Yeah, his
Yeah.
reaction. He looks. He's like, yeah. I think his corner was like, Sean, you won. He's
Yeah, they're
like,
like, dude,
looks
what
at
are you
him
doing?
shocked. He's like, no
Yeah,
fucking way. Like literally was his reaction.
it was ridiculous.
I will say, like like heard it again, like they 100 like you showed me, they 100% said Sean Woodson, but
Yeah.
it was really loud in there. So the Canadian fans were making some noise. So I mean, I kind of get. I'm still shocked that like Jourdain thought he heard his name. It was so weird. I've never seen that before. Where like you've seen it before, like with draw with Woodley and Thompson, that second fight where it was or maybe it was the first fight where it was a draw, like a majority draw, and at first they announced Woodley as the winner, and then they were like, "Wait, come back," and Woodley was like, "No way!" Like he thought he lost after it, but then
Yeah.
they're like, "No, it's a draw." So
Yeah.
I've seen shit like that happen. I've never seen uh someone obviously get announced as the winner but the other guy literally thinking he heard his name. I don't like it was so weird. Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I thought Sean Woodson definitely won 3-2. I honestly was surprised it was a or not 3-2, 2-1. I was surprised it was a split decision to an extent, but at the same time, you see so many split decisions. I was kind of in shambles when Jourdain thought he heard his name, and then you're like, wait, Woodson won. It was so weird,
It
but
was very weird because, like, we were like, ah, damn it, we missed the first one. That would have been a nice cash. And then I was like,
yeah.
hold on, wait a minute. And you see Woodson like start to clap, and I'm like, okay, wait. I was like, I think we actually, because like you said, when we were watching it, we felt pretty confident, the both of us, that Sean Woodson had done enough to win. And
Yeah.
when they went to a split decision, this is like Admin Oscar said, it's really rare that we're on the right side of that. You
Yeah,
hear
the
it's a split
confidence
decision, and it's
went
like,
out the
okay,
window when we
yeah, we're
heard
like, all
split
right,
decision,
we're done. They're gonna give it to the
and they
Canadian
did,
seller.
and
It's
we
gonna go
thought they
against
did,
us.
but
And,
they
and they
didn't.
didn't. So, and honestly, what I was thinking is maybe that's like a new tactic that Charles Jourdain was trying out, where he goes, maybe if I celebrate hard enough, they'll just give me the win. They'll spare themselves the embarrassment from saying like we were wrong. They'll go, no, you know what? Fine, give it to
Dude,
Jourdain.
I felt kind of
He's
I
already,
kind of felt bad for Jourdain, dude. He was just like in shambles when he found out he didn't
yeah.
win.
I mean, that's
Hands
crushing.
hands immediately like went over his face, like he
Well, not
was
only did you
being
lose the fight
pissed.
now, but you just
Like,
celebrated
yeah,
in front of the world that you had won the fight, and you're yes, yeah, just to find out that no, you lost split decision in your backyard. So
yeah,
not a fun time for our friend Charles Jourdain. And I will say that I saw a tweet that was pretty funny while this fight was going on, and it was how do you make a Charles Jourdain fight boring? Have him fight Sean Woodson. And
yeah.
because Charles Jourdain is so entertaining, he's always in good
Well,
fights. And then Sean Woodson made him fight his fight. He made him,
100%.
long, lanky at his range.
It
It
felt
was
it felt good, like seeing that play out how I kind of pictured it. I thought Woodson might be able to like stun him a little bit more. But I mean, Woodson just was so calculated. I knew the big route for him to win that fight was to use his reach, really pick his spots. And just like I said, I was like, I really think his reach is going to give Jourdain problems where he's not able to put combos together like he normally would, be able to push the pace like he normally would. Like you could tell Jourdain felt the power coming back at him, so he was less inclined to really rush in there and go for it. Yeah, it wasn't the most, you know, exciting fight in terms of just like brawling, but it was very calculated, very good strategic fight from both of them. And yeah, I love Charles Jourdain, so I'm pumped to see him back in there. I'm just pretty glad he lost this one for the bet.
yeah, no, that's fair. I enjoy watching Charles Jourdain too, but I very much enjoyed him losing. Not in that fashion. It was pretty upsetting, like we said. It's upsetting that he got his hopes so high, just crushed in front of
Dude, he
everybody,
did I
probably
don't know
his
if you guys
family.
have seen Zoolander, but he literally did the Zoolander thing. Like he walked all the way up to the podium,
Yeah.
accepted the award, and then like had to be turned away.
Damn.
I was confused, so I didn't watch
Great
that
video.
one. And then you guys were texting, and I was like, I don't even understand like what happened. Like, did he
That's
like
that's why I was like trying to. I was
It's
texting about it,
unexplainable.
and I was like, dude, I'm just gonna send him the link to the video because it's like I can't explain this because it was so
Yeah,
I thought Buffer
stupid.
said the
unprecedented.
wrong name, right? Or
Me
That's what
something
too.
like
That's
that.
what.
Like
that's what
Uh,
everyone did. I have
I
a
was like, man, Bruce is so good that it's so rare that he would do that.
yeah,
yeah,
but
I have a wrestling group chat from my old high school teammates, and like everyone was like, they announced the wrong name, and I was like, no, they didn't. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. And I sent them the clip. Like, you can clearly hear him say, uh, Sean the Sniper Woodson, but and then they're like, oh shit, that was really weird. I was like, yeah, it was fucking weird.
Jourdain was just
Never seen it.
implementing his new tactics, like, yeah, but regardless, I mean, it is really sad too because, like I said, Jourdain's from Canada, so his whole family is probably there,
Yeah.
and they're probably like, "Yes, Charles," and, they had to, in the most embarrassing fashion, have to walk out of there, but, regardless, we'll move on to this next fight. That's enough of, talking about that one. Like I said, if you didn't see it, look it up. It was super weird, but regardless, we hit that plus 170 for a big week, and then
Real quick, sorry, I don't wanna, like, bring this fight up again, but I had to because I saw, like, you guys brought up, like, letting it like, letting people down, like, his whole family being there. Mike Malott literally posted on Twitter before the fight, he was like, "I'm so ready for this fight, like, Canada, I will not let you down." Like, literally was the last thing he said. And I was just like,
well,
we need this motherfucker to lose." Like, I was like, "I don't love that," but, like, the way he lost,
yeah, sad.
he let so many people down, like, in terms
Everybody.
of betting, like, Canada, but, I just thought it was funny, like,
He did nothing but let people
the
down,
last sentence, "Canada, I will not let you down," and that's how the fight ended, but, yeah,
and
let's move on to the next one, I just thought that was funny.
I will say he also, like, I didn't wanna say it, but, like, he didn't get off of his stool when they were, like, announcing Neil Magny won, and I felt bad because,
Yeah, I know.
I put the hex on him maybe a little bit, but regardless, it's good for us, so who cares? We'll get on to this next one. This was a bit of surprising for me. Ramon Tavares defeated Sergey Sadi split decision. Again, this is another one where I heard split decision. I thought it was going to go for Sergey because home field advantage, Canada. This was a great fight, back and forth. A lot of violence, a lot of blood. Good performance by both of these guys. These were the guys that they had fought already in Contender Series, and this is a rematch because a lot of people had thought that it was a bit of a quick quick call on it. It was a bit of a rushed end of the fight when Sergey Sadi knocked out Roman Tavares. They thought it was an early stoppage, so they rematched. They went to distance. It was a banger, split decision. Both these guys will get another fight or two or three.
Yeah.
These are the kind of guys that Dana falls in love with. Not a ton to say about that one. If you want, we could just go straight into this next fight too. I mean, that's pretty much the recap of that one. We didn't have any line on this. We didn't bet it. We didn't talk about it a bunch of the podcast. So
Yeah, I think the only thing I said about that fight is, like, I haven't watched either of these guys fight very, very much, and I missed the Contender Series fight, but I was like the only thing I said was, I was like, "It seems a little weird that, what's his name? Not, uh, Roman, the other guy." I was like,
Sergey Sadi.
yeah, I was like, "It's weird that Sadid's, like, only, like, a minus 190 when he, finished him in
Mhm.
the first fight." Granted, it was controversial, but, it wasn't enough for me just to, like, blindly bet on Tavares, but
Yeah, it's one of those suspect lines.
yeah, the
Um,
Bucks, like, knew what they were doing, not making him too big of a favorite, even though he had a finish technically had a finish over him already, but yeah, good fight.
yeah,
So,
and that like you said, that's another one of those parlay killers that we just I think we said, just avoid it if you can.
mhm.
We'll get okay, into this next one. Jillian Robertson, she defeated Polyana Viana, round 2 TKO. That's a bit surprising because I mean, like we talked about again the week prior, Jillian Robertson is a real good grappler. She likes to get the fight on the ground, and that's what she did, but she was just completely dismantling Polyana Viana. I mean, she got whatever position she wanted to. She'd get her back, she'd get in a full mount, and then she just started throwing strikes rather than lock up submission. So it ended via TKO. It was a complete outclass, dismantling, whatever you want to say. And I think it was you, Hammer, that showed me somebody had like a three-leg method of victory parlay, and the one leg that didn't hit was Jillian Robertson by submission, and that's just so
Yeah.
painful because, like I said, it was like she had it on the ground. It looked like it was setting up for a Robertson submission. I think she has the most submissions in the 125 women's weight class history, if I'm not mistaken. But she gets a TKO. Do you remember what that parlay was? I think I said
I
it too
don't
low.
yeah, I don't know exactly what it was, but like you said, it was method of victory. The guy on Twitter put, like, a good bet on it. I think it
Yeah, I
was,
think it's
like,
like 500, right?
500 to win, like, 26 grand,
Yeah,
and dude, that's just
painful.
brutal. Cause like, Jillian Robertson, she was going for submissions, like, like we said, man, like, Jillian Robertson is really good on the ground, uh, flowing from position to position, controlling the fight, you would you look at that fight and you're like, okay, grappler versus grappler, but it really isn't. Like Vienna obviously had a good amount of armbar submissions, to her credit, but it was it's just like a uh different stratosphere in terms of like actually how good they are at grappling. Like Jillian Robertson is way better, moving from position to position, controlling it, whereas Vienna kind of just has that armbar off of her back, and if she doesn't get that, she's really not that great. So yeah, great fight for Jillian Robertson. I did say I was like I would be comfortable putting her in a parlay, even though she's not very she isn't a complete fighter, but she does what she does really good. And it was on display here. I mean, she absolutely dominated her.
Yeah, and I think both you and I kind of saw that one coming. The Jillian Robertson would get the win. Paulina Vienna, she's not that great. She's really attractive.
Yeah,
She's not
yeah.
that
I was
great at
gonna
fighting.
say, yeah.
She is.
She
I mean, she's
she
really
could do
attractive. She's just
she
not a great
definitely do
fighter.
some, modeling or whatever, and
Yeah,
that's the thing, I don't even think, she'll get cut very soon. I
she
don't
will.
know. I don't think she'll get cut just because, I mean, I think Dana knows what he has
She
with
has a
her
big enough
in terms
name where
of
people will
yeah.
keep watching her. They'll go, "Hey, this is that girl that Colby wanted to hook up with," and they'll watch her fights. As sad as that is to say, it's just the truth.
Yeah,
A simple
100%.
breed of fans here. But anyways, we'll get into this. And this next fight, this kind of goes along the lines of the Garrett Anfield and Bracatona, whereas like I try to get myself invested into each and every fight. This is just one of those ones where, regardless of what happened, I wasn't super invested. It was Sam Patterson and Johan Lines. Patterson round one knockout. Um, yeah. I mean, we didn't talk about much.
He
Didn't
what
talk about it much last week. It just I don't.
Dan
I,
Patterson wasn't Canadian?
no, Johan Lines was.
I was like, I was like, did they got one? No.
Nah, yeah, I think Sam Patterson's American, Johan Lainez is
Okay.
Canadian.
I see. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much to talk about that one. First round TKO, right?
Yeah,
If I'm
yeah.
not mistaken.
That's basically like that's what I wanted to say about it.
Not much, not much to break down in that one.
No.
Good win for
Patterson is
Patterson.
Patterson is British, just to keep the record straight on that one.
Okay,
American, British,
I
same
mean, how
thing.
it's close enough, yeah.
I
Same
knew, I
thing.
knew, I knew it was something.
He was from somewhere. But
One
yeah,
of those
I think
countries.
that's gonna do it for that one. I mean, I'm sorry, Sam Patterson, if you hear this, buddy. I mean, good win. I don't have
Well,
anything else
we
to
didn't
say.
talk about your fight really at all, and we got where your country is, bro. Sorry, dude.
Hey, it happens, man.
Yeah, it happens. I'm not gonna do much to like justify it either. We're just gonna move on to the next fight.
Yeah, let's just do
I
that.
think we just go over it. Jasmine Jasudavicius. I was gonna say defeats, but I think that there should be a more, I don't know, a forward way of saying it. She beat up, she dismantled, she dominated Priscilla
Pulver,
Cachoeira,
pulverized her.
pulverized. Yeah, that and
Beat her
I
a
almost
pulp,
forgot.
whatever
Beat her
you
to a
want to say.
pulp. That's a good
Like
one.
she
Whatever you want to say.
destroyed her, dude.
She didn't beat her. She really like she probably ended her career in the UFC. I almost forgot that it was a round 3 finish. It was a Darce choke in the 3rd round. It was just there's 40 seconds left in the fight, but like literally from the opening bell, it was a slaughter. It was, Jasmine did whatever she wanted to do. And I mean, Cachoeira got really beat up. There was a lot of blood, and none of it came from Jasmine. I don't know if she got punched once. Like just being completely honest.
Oh, I
Like
Dude,
saw at the end of the fight, I'm pretty
so.
sure the strikes were it was 300 to 27 or something like
Jeez.
that.
it was
It
just
was
completely
insane.
lopsided.
I honestly left it being wow, shout out to Cachoeira for making
Still,
it as long as she did, just getting absolutely cooked for
she lived up
14
to her
minutes.
nickname, the Zombie Girl, because
Yeah.
that happens to her almost every fight I've seen her in the UFC. To be honest,
And sometimes she wins.
yeah,
That's the craziest part. Not
well, that's
often.
the thing. She has a good chin, so if she can gas the person
Yeah,
out,
I'll say. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
she has a good chin, and like I said, man, she's good at blocking punches with her face, where she
That
doesn't
was your breakout.
like that, and she did pretty well doing it.
Yeah.
I know we did say, I think we did say Jasmine probably wins a decision. I think it was like minus 110 or something for her to win by decision.
40
Obviously
seconds
we
left.
didn't like it enough to bet, but yeah, I mean, uh, Priscilla, I think that's her name. She just has an insane chin, and I don't think she landed 27 strikes. I
Yeah, I
think.
think it was either 2 or 7 if we're being real. It wasn't 27. I think they meant in a range from 2 to 7. Um,
She might have thrown 27 strikes. I don't know if she landed 27, but
it's one of those fights where, like, you don't wanna look away because of, like, the violence and but, like, it actually felt like, "Okay, like, this shouldn't be said
yeah,
here. Like, they should
it's a
end
little
this
too
one."
much. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
little too much. It was
It
I was
was
like,
kind of
just like,
waiting for like the WWE turn, like she's getting killed the whole time, and it's like,
yeah,
oh shit, someone just threw
"Here
a
comes
chair from the crowd.
Hornswoggle."
Yeah,
Yeah, you know?
yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, but, I
They
mean,
roll
again.
out the coffin.
Yeah, that didn't happen. It was they rolled out the coffin to take Priscilla Cachoeira out of the arena. That's what happened. I mean, it was
yeah,
pretty bad. It was
it was pretty bad.
it wasn't necessarily close. It was a great performance by Jasmine. I think we knew that was going to happen. Again, it just felt like one of those fights where it was like, one girl's on this level and the other one's on this one. And that's kind of the discrepancy here with the women's division is like there are some that deserve to be in the sport, and there are some that kind of don't.
Yeah,
The zombie girl, she deserves to be there
especially in
'cause
the
she can.
UFC, man. Like it's
Yeah,
like there's levels to it.
this was one of those fights.
I'd like to see her not be in the UFC anymore just for her health, and
I agree.
I don't want to see that again. I really don't. It happens
Yeah,
in a lot of her fights. So
because
yeah,
some
I
of those
feel
people
bad
have those
shitting on her,
chins.
but like I'm being like, I'm actually being serious. Like I do not think it's good for her health to keep fighting the UFC. I don't know how many fights she has left on her contract.
But
Hope,
that'll be it. That's enough. Yeah,
hopefully Dana just says that's enough there. But yeah, good win for Jasmine. We didn't really
yeah.
talk about her too much. We talked about the zombie girl, but
She
I mean
stole the show.
Jasmine looked good, man. Like we were saying in her fight before where she lost to Tracy Cortez, she looked really good too. But yeah, she's an up and comer to keep her eye on for sure.
For sure, and her striking looked good, and,
Yeah.
like we said last week, she's a world-class wrestler, grappler, so, like, that part of her game's already there. It was good to see her, striking take the next step, and it looked decent against Cortez too, so, I mean, she's definitely ironing out the kinks. She'll be a problem in the division. Um, there's a Royal Rumble on my television right now, and Hornswoggle just came out, so they must have heard me. So,
That's hilarious.
so we'll move on to this last fight. That was completely irrelevant, but we'll move on to this last fight. Our guy, the Brick, Jimmy the Brick Flick,
I fucking
beats
love him,
Malcolm
bro.
Gordon. That was an electric start to the night. Because I will say Malcolm Gordon was beating him up in the first round, and he was beating him up in the beginning of the second round, and then you let it go too long, and Jimmy Flick, he's gonna catch you. He caught him with an arm triangle choke, and he submits him in round two. That was the beginning of the end for the male Canadian fighters. Very first fight, the first one lost, and I think that was. I mean, I don't think it literally was the trendsetter. Like I
Yeah.
said, the Canadian men went 0-7. So, I mean, we love Jimmy Flick here. I don't know
Yeah.
if we iterated that enough last week. Jimmy Flick is the man.
He is the man, dude. And yeah, I was like a little surprised that like obviously I was pretty confident that Gordon would have a pretty significant stand-up advantage, but I was surprised Gordon got his hands locked in that first round and took Jimmy Flick down. But Jimmy Flick, I'm pretty sure, did end that round on top because he is a lot better of a grappler than him. Was able to, I think he swept him and was just able to turn the position and the round on top. Jimmy Flick obviously was getting hit with some pretty big shots, but he did a really good job of like I don't know if I should say like baiting him, but like he got hit with some big shots. Don't get me wrong, but it almost looked like he was rocked the way he was putting his hands up. But he had his hands up and he was letting Gordon kind of tee up, and a lot of those punches were landing like on the shoulders, on the hands. Obviously, a good amount of them got through. He did that in the first round, and then the second round he did it like even more. And Gordon got pretty confident when he saw his hands go up like that, just keeping them up. Like that's usually a telltale sign you have someone rocked. But I don't think Jimmy Flick was that rocked, to be honest. Like he got hit with some big shots, but he did that really in a really smart way because he made Gordon close the distance and he was able to take him down off that. And once he took him down in that second round, I was pretty confident that was going to be the end for Malcolm Gordon. You could have. I saw someone live bet Jimmy Fleck at like plus 390. I wish I would have been looking at the live odds because I would have thrown a little bit on him. The longer that fight went, I was pretty confident Jimmy Fleck was going to win, and we were both kind of pissed at ourselves once he won. We're like, why didn't either of us make that our fucking best bet? It's easy to say that after the fighter wins, but
yeah, it's very hindsight of us to say that. But we did say, like,
but we said it before. Like, we liked him at plus whatever 160. I didn't bet him at all, which I was pretty sure. Like before, I was like, I'm definitely betting him, but I ended up not pulling the trigger. But I'm just glad he won. I love Jimmy Fleck. It was a good win for him to, keep going in his UFC career, man.
Yeah, because I think we
Definitely
said
not
last
long.
week. I think we said, like, it's very possible that the loser gets cut. It's
Well,
one of those
Malcolm
fights that
got-
Dana's watched him with 2 contracts in his
Yeah.
hands with a paper shredder next to him, going, "All right,
Well, Malcolm Gordon
loser's
retired.
contract."
Malcolm Gordon retired.
Oh, so he spared himself.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember. So I don't know if it was you or someone else who were watching. Was like, he's taking his gloves off, and sometimes
well,
fighters
yeah.
just do that because,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, they're probably just like, "Fuck this,
Hands
I
are
lost."
sweaty.
Like, yeah, like I'd probably take my gloves off too. It doesn't mean you're retiring, but then I think I saw on his Instagram, like on Twitter, someone posted it, and he just like, it was just his Instagram story, and it was just like a black screen and just said retired or something. I was like, oh
Oof.
shit. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Sucks that's his last one, losing in his home country like that. But
Yeah, the
was
Canadian
rough.
fighters didn't only lose; they lost pretty embarrassing. They took it to heart. I mean,
Yeah.
you got Malcolm Gordon retired, you got Charles Jourdain, who all celebrated, and then you got Mike Malott, who didn't get off the stool in front of his family and
Yeah.
won't let Canada down.
Tough
it
night
was
for
rough.
them. But we did say they were gonna go down, so they did.
Yeah,
They
they
did
did.
hard. They went down hard.
Yeah, we might have, like I said, we might have put the hex on it, but oh well. Got to do what you got to do.
They'll get it. They'll get them next time.
Yeah, they might. We'll see. Maybe they will. But I think that's gonna do it for the recap. One quick thing that I wanted to bring up, since we already talked about Kay Hansen a little bit, we'll bring it up real quick.
Kay
again.
Hansen.
Oh wow, Kay Hansen. Kayla Harrison. Kay Hansen is, she's
She's not in the UFC anymore.
She's somewhere doing something. But Kayla Harrison, obviously she signed. She's going to try to fight at 135. Like we said, it's going to be a hard weight cut. She fought at 145, and at judo, she's at 170. So we'll see how that goes. She's fighting Holly Holm at UFC 300. But one other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is huge. Did you guys see the Roundhouse trailer? Conor McGregor.
I didn't see it. I saw it was out. I did not see the Roundhouse.
That movie is going to be ridiculous.
What is it called? Roadhouse. I don't even know what it's like. What is?
It's a remake. It's like they talked about it in Family Guy. Remember when Peter Griffin found it at Blockbuster? Roadhouse. The Roadhouse kick.
Okay, yeah.
But it's
wait, I'm actually shocked I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys. It's ridiculous.
Wait, Conor McGregor's in it?
Yeah,
I thought he was gonna have like an appearance. He seems to be the main villain.
Yeah.
No way. Oh,
Yeah,
I gotta look this up. I wish I had known.
Gyllenhaal.
And Jake Gyllenhaal, like there was I forget what card it was, but they brought Jake Gyllenhaal out to like film. It's like him in the UFC, and like he's like doing this stuff. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But I needed to bring that up. I guess the other thing I'll bring up is Diego Lopez and Sadiq Youssef are also booked for UFC 300. I don't know how important that is compared to Roadhouse, but that's also news in the MMA world. Yeah.
Who is it? Youssef and who?
Diego Lopez with the awesome hair.
That's sick, actually. Diego Lopez, man,
he's fun. I remember I didn't take the last fight out, but yeah, he's impressive.
We both liked him. I know
you liked him more than me.
I was like, I like him, not enough to bet, but this guy really impressed me in his short notice fight against Evolov, and dude, he's electric. I'm pumped to see him again.
So that's a fun fight. UFC 300 starting to round out. We were talking about it. They're probably a main event away from having, possibly one of the best cards we've seen ever. They do that with 100, 200, 300. But like I said, unless you guys have any other talking points, I think I'm good for the week.
Well, first of all, I would like to say that there already is a main event for 300. It's Bobby Green versus Jim Miller.
Of course. How could I forget?
I think we already figured that one out. No, just real quickly, I wanted to say you guys are humble people, so I knew you guys wouldn't bring it up. But the best bets since we started the pod, the big week for both of you guys, we're up over. Well, you guys are up over 9 units, 14 and 11, and it just goes to show that you find that value on those plus money plays, and it's going to pay off at some point. Like 14 and 11, it's not like you guys are 30-2, like you're just hitting good value plays and like that's I don't know, like just slowly but surely building it up. So good work on you guys.
Well, yeah, and
Thank
I
you.
think the like
Thank you.
main reason, obviously, like the um like we take these plus money bets is like you're obviously looking for value and stuff, but like you got to realize like most people aren't tailing every one of your bets. So when they see you put out like a minus 140, minus 150, and you lose that, like people aren't really gonna like it. So it's nice, like if someone's just like tuning in and like, all right, like I'll try this out, and then they get anywhere from plus 100 to plus 300 with Neil Magny.
Yeah.
It's nice. So yeah, good good start to the year, and we're gonna keep it going, keep building.
Yeah, so our unit goal at the beginning of the new year was 12. We're at 9, so we just gotta keep riding the wave. So I think
Yes.
that's gonna do it. Like I said, there's no fights this weekend. We'll come back next week. We got Nasruddin Imavov fighting Roman Dolidze in the main event. So we'll talk about that one, break it down, and give you our best bets. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this week. Hammer, Oscar, as always, is a pleasure.
Hell yeah, boys. I'll see you next week.
Absolutely.